Welcome to the interview portion of the Two in a Blue podcast. Filming here at the Energy Defender studio. For any of your solar or roofing needs, call Energy Defenders. We are here with Dr. Emanuel Sanfilippo.
How we doing, Steve?
Good, man. Thank you so much for coming out, dude. I appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for having me. And, I really appreciate the 10 grand you're paying me on the side.
Yeah, no problem. Nothing. It's nothing. So you are a doctor of chiropractic.
Yes, I am. 35 years now.
Wow, man.
I know. Time flies.
What's the schooling like for that?
Let's start from the beginning. I was graduated St. Joe right here in Hampton,
Okay.
St. Joe High School in 1981. Went on to University of Charleston in West Virginia. Got my Bachelor's of Science in Biology, pre-med. And then went on to Life Chiropractic, which was... I think it's like 13 semesters. I went all year round, so it took me about 3.5 years, going right through the summers, only pretty much having Christmas off and maybe a week during the summer. So that was another 3.5 years on top of my 4.
That's a way to
get
do
my
it.
doctorate.
That's a way to do it. Just burn through. What's like it? How much time does that take someone who doesn't take the summers off? Like who does take the summers?
I guess it'd take you about 4.5 years rather than the 3.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
So after you graduate from that medical school, do you have to do stuff like that a medical doctor would do? Like the, what's that called when you follow
the internship and stuff like that. They have it kind of built into the program the last 1 or 2 semesters where you have to work. They have a clinic right there at the college. And once you hit a certain point, in your education, you get to qualify to go in the clinic and you have to perform so many hours of supervised adjustments, what a chiropractor does, cracking backs. So you have to go through all that being supervised to make sure that, you're proficient, you know what the hell you're doing.
Who's the first person you crack?
I couldn't tell you because it's an open clinic, so people are just coming in.
Do you guys like practice on each other in school?
Oh yeah. I had a wonderful partner my 3 years through school. Her name was Tammy. It was great. We met probably the first semester, and it made life a lot easier. I still keep in touch with her. She's a doctor in Virginia, married, a few kids. But in fact, I just talked to her about 6 months ago. And, we were at each other's side for like 3.5 years. Like, we pretty much studied together every minute of the day. And it was, so we helped each other get through. But yeah, you practice on each other. You're hurting each other in the beginning when you really don't know what the hell you're doing.
What do they have like dummies you could practice on at all?
No.
I wonder if they do now.
It's a good question. Yeah, because you're talking, mid 80s.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be. I have no idea. I mean, we actually did full human dissection. So we did the whole human lab thing. Now they probably do have dummies for stuff
cadavers.
Like that. Yeah, human cadavers.
Did you crack? Can you crack a cadaver?
No. Oh. I'm talking about just actually dissecting it. To learn the anatomy.
Yeah.
But when it came to adjusting, no, we practiced on each other. I mean, they had doctors setting up over us, and we'd show them our hand placement, things like that, and we'd work on thrust and how it would feel and things like that, and they would adjust us so we got a feeling for how it would feel, and it just became something you did. Now it's like it's just. You just do it so many times throughout the course of 35 years. It's just second nature.
Is it like cracking your own hands, like your own bones?
Yeah, I mean you'll see people crack their knuckles. They'll twist their necks. They'll twist their lower backs, giving themselves a good crack. The difference. I always tell people that's great if you're in a pinch and you need your neck's really bothering you and you gotta do it. I don't but think about the differences when you do it to yourself, the muscles are attached to the bones. So you're using your muscles to pull your bones back into place. When I'm doing it, I'm using an external force, my hands, while your muscles are relaxed to put the bone back into place. So you have a better chance of causing damage and strain to your muscles trying to pull your own put your situation back into place than me, where I'm working on a relaxed body.
How is it to crack a neck for the first time? That's got to be just horrifying.
I've always been fine with it, but some people really get freaked out by it. I know doctors that kids that have graduated, especially now, I don't know if they do too much manual manipulation in school. where they graduated and they're just still using tools. They're using activator guns and things like this, different other tools to actually manipulate the body rather than their hands, and that's fine. I'm sure there's science behind that works, but I'm kind of old school. I like getting in there, moving the bone, feeling everything move, hearing it move, and I know the person is going to get up and feel better.
So how do you know? So I'll give you a hypothetical. Like, is there a different range for where the crack point is on different people? Like, if you were like, could you go beyond
and bust a rib?
Well, I'm saying like could my neck crack at a sooner point than yours?
Oh, absolutely. So there is a tension you start feeling in individuals, and that comes with experience. Where some people will have a very short tension, so you don't have to traction them out or take them to a limit where all of a sudden just a little thrust and it's going to go in. And then you have some people, like you would think, like a petite female that's very flexible in the gymnastics would be somebody easy to adjust. Sometimes they could be the hardest ones to adjust because their range of motion is so much greater than like yours or mine that you have to really twist them and torque them up before you're going to get to a point where you can actually thrust and get an adjustment.
So does your starting point become further for someone like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't thrust all the way through that. You have to take them all the way there, and then once you feel that tension, then you give your thrust.
Gotcha.
Boy, I'm going to send you to school after this.
Oh yeah, I'm very interested. I really am. I'm very interested in all this stuff. So you were the chiropractor for the Philadelphia Flyers. Mm-hmm. What time period was that?
That was 2004 to 2009.
Jeff Carter, Mike Richards.
Yeah. They were all buddies of mine. Not that I keep in touch with them, but there was Scotty Upshaw there. There was a bunch of guys there back then. But I had made friends through my wife with one of the Phantoms, Dave McIsaac, and he won the Calder Cup that year. And he was married to one of my wife's best friends. So I met him, and he invited me out to a Flyers benefit softball game. And I met the guys. I met Jimmy McCrossin, who was the head trainer, and he said they were looking for a new chiropractor. He brought me in, and there I was. I met Bobby Clark, and that was it. He was the GM at the time.
So when you have a job like that, is it are you like on call, or you just go to the facility like a 9 to 5 kind of a thing?
No, it's you go to all the home games, mm-hmm. And then I try to make 2 to 3 practices during the week over at the in Voorhees, at the skate zone, and you pretty much did what they needed, and it was just straight chiropractic. So with the Flyers, they have a doctor for everything, so you're only doing what they want you to do as far as manipulation, and that's it. They have an orthopedist, they have a medical doctor, they have a neurologist, they have a psychologist. I mean, they had Jimmy McCrossin, and they had a couple of assistant trainers. Then you have your strength and conditioning coaches and things like that. They had a person for everything you could think of that you might need. The Flyers organization was still one of the best in hockey. You come in as a player, and you have to realize when you're sitting in one of those locker rooms, there might be 4 or 5 languages going on at one time. You got Finnish, you got the Russians, you have the Canadians speaking French, you have the English going on, and all try to speak a little English. Some guys were better at it than others, but they would usually communicate through Jimmy what they needed, and then Jimmy would tell me, and then I work on the player. So it was almost, because some people use this as a bad term, an HMO, but in other words, they wanted to make sure that Jimmy knew everything, because he was the guy in charge to make sure that the player was getting all the services they needed. So it might not be a chiropractic situation. It might be more of an orthopedic situation. Might need physical therapy. Might need whatever to see a neurologist because it was maybe something else going on. Or we 2 or 3 of us will work on the guy on a different injury. But so during the games, I would pretty much be like right off the locker room, and a couple of us would be. So that, God forbid, somebody comes off the ice and they'll just yell your name, hey, Manny, Manny, you know, and you go running, find out what the hell happened. Maybe they tweaked their back, tweaked their neck. Sometimes you're working on before the game. Sometimes you're working on during the game. Sometimes after the game.
So as a chiropractor, are you qualified to make adjustments when there's a fracture? Like to put a bone back into place? No. Okay.
No. That's orthopedic, medical, surgical situation.
Okay. That's cool. Were you a big Flyers fan?
Yeah, I've always been a big hockey fan. Now with all the years in hockey, it's my favorite sport.
Yeah.
Only because I understand a lot more about it and the actual player than I did before it was football. And don't get me wrong, I love football, but when you start seeing what these guys go through on a daily basis and what they put their bodies through, and like I said, I'm not knocking football, but they do get 5-6 days of rest. These guys are beat up. I mean, I've seen some injuries. I saw Jeff Carter, almost lost his ear with a puck, and it was early in the first period. He comes off the ice, the ear's hanging off. We have a great stitch guy. He stitched it up outside and inside, and I think there was like 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the game. He puts this big packing on it, and Jeff went out there and skated around. I mean, I saw a guy, a stick broke, and they're fiberglass sticks, and bigger than the size of a toothpick went into his calf, so they had to cut it out. Nope. He played with it because in 10 days it was going to be the All-Star break, and he'll get it out then. I mean, another guy took a puck to the lip, and you literally can see his front teeth with a piece of skin hanging on the lower upper lip. And he comes off the ice, and was he German or Russian? He goes to the surgeon. He goes, 2 stitch here, 2 stitch here. Don't numb me. He goes, he just laid there and held onto the table, went out there and played. At the end of the game, I go up to him. I'm like, you got to finish getting that done. No bleed. I'm fine. I'm like, these guys are beasts.
Yeah.
I mean, beasts. What they put up with and what they put their bodies through, they're beasts. And they don't stop.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I was at the game when, do you remember when Michael Remberg split his face?
Okay, I came in right after that.
I was at that game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, I actually saw the, I met him.
He was
since.
around in 2004?
No. He was visiting. On his, I guess it was the next year or something.
Yeah, that was the Flyers were the first team I ever fell in love with, and it was that Lindros, Remberg, Leclerc, Brindamore.
You weren't even around for the 70s.
Nah,
when they were the Broad Street Bullies.
Yeah, now
the Broad Street Bullies were. That's when I was like 13, so they were like gods.
Yeah, yeah, they were. They were to me too. I had my Legion of Doom T-shirt I used to wear to school probably every day, and all that stuff. I still love the Flyers. I love them. I took my son to his first game last year. They're fun, man. It's fun. It's the best sport.
It does not translate well on TV, so it will always be your fourth favorite sport because seeing it live and seeing everything that goes on, and once you understand some of the rules of the game, there's so much going on that TV just can't pick up. And I don't care if they try to highlight the puck or they try to follow it a little better for an unseasoned eye. But man, when you're watching it live,
it's unbelievable.
It's
it's the best sport to go watch
live.
Yes.
I absolutely.
Wow, so that's awesome. And you went from that. So you got done with the Flyers in 2014.
No, 2009.
Oh, 2009. Sorry.
Right. So I left there, and then it was about 2 years later. Same guy, Dave McIsaac, got the job as a head coach for the country of Iceland for the IIHF. So in other words, they are the International Ice Hockey Federation, and they he's like it's a small country. They could only afford one doctor that can do everything. So he goes, "Are you interested?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Well, I got to get you into Croatia." I said, "Okay." So I get off the phone with him, and my wife goes, "So explain to me what you're doing." I said, "I'm going to Croatia for this tournament for 7 days. It's Dave. He's with, Iceland." And she goes, "Does any of them speak English? Like, you're going to take care of this team. Like, does anybody speak English?" I said, "I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing, here." Yeah. But it was the start of a great relationship. I mean, I flew in, met them at the airport, got to meet the guys. They all speak a little English, and the nice thing about that was there was no body above me. So in other words, when I'm taking care of the team and I'm away at these tournaments, I have to tape and wrap and stim and ice and medicate and crack and rub them down. I was their massage therapist. I was their psychologist. I was everything. Wow. The only thing I couldn't do was stitch, but everywhere you went, every country you went to always had a stitch guy. Everywhere I landed, I had like services. I always had an interpreter if I needed it and things like that. It was
now,
great.
how often so is their season similar to the NHL or?
No, so this is just a 1 week tournament a year.
Oh, okay.
That takes place based on what division you're in. So let's look at like the United States, Canada, and things. So in IIHF, they're Division 1A, and there's a bunch of teams. All the big countries are in Division 1A. Then there's 1B. Then there's 2A, and Iceland was in 2B. So we were with. We played different. And countries come in and out. The winners move up. The loser moves down. It gets relegated. So we've played Australia, New Zealand, Spain, Netherlands, Serbia, Romania, Mexico City, North Korea, China. Yeah, so the coolest, and I've always told this story, the coolest thing about being in my situation was, first off, I was the only American doctor in international play outside the United States. And I can say that, and I'll take that to my grave. I'm the only every team that brought their doctor was bringing a doctor from their country. Iceland hired an American doctor with NHL experience to provide services for their players. Great pat on my back.
Yeah.
Second was before the tournament started, all the doctors would get together and roundtable. There was always one head doctor from the IHF there representing, the tournament, and we'd go through a roundtable. Where's the ambulance? What do we do if this happens? What do we do if that happens? What if you get on the ice and you need help? Hand signals to each other, cross hands, stand up. Like that means send the house. Like I need help out here, and that's happened. I had help. I had help facilitate that a couple of times.
You have to we'll go on the ice and all.
All the time. When a guy goes down, I'm the only doctor
Wow.
there. I'm the only doctor there. And by the end of it, because I did it for 10 years, I was the most senior doctor representing some of these countries. I was in a tournament with Israel, and their guy goes down. They're looking at me like, can you go? I ran out on the ice for an Israeli team.
How's that going out on the ice? Like all jacked up with adrenaline and in front of a million people? And
fine. It's I'm okay with, see, my certifications and my qualifications, because I went on for, some sports, for a year after chiropractic for sports injuries. So I'm the calmest head in the class. So when things go wrong, all right, the first thing you have to do is you have to remember, just stay calm. You know what you're doing, and just relax. So I'm pretty calm in auto accidents and emergency situations. I'm fine. Just calm down. You know what to do, and just go out there and do what you have to do. And so before the tournament, we would actually go out on the ice and practice how we're going to board a guy. We'd get a player out there in full uniform, throw him up against the wall in some awkward position, and okay, now what are we going to do? But you got to meet the other doctors from all these other countries. So I got to meet the doctors from China. I got to meet the doctors from North Korea. What American can say that?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
what an experience.
Yeah, the North Korean would not take a picture with anybody. He took a picture with me.
All right.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
They spoke no English. The Chinese spoke perfect English.
Do you know any other language?
No.
No, you didn't pick nothing up. You didn't pick up any.
That was the
Korean?
That was the bad thing about. I never picked up Icelandic.
Yeah.
That was the one bad thing. Is 10 years later, I still don't even know how to say it.
Nothing. Oh,
so every morning you get up and we always eat. We eat together. It's a buffet line. All the teams are there in different time slots. You get up and you sit down, and breakfast was always the most awkward time because they're just waking up. and all they're doing is talking Icelandic to each other, and I'm sitting there and eating my breakfast. And then they're like, boom, 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 and they're talking about this. I could tell they're talking about the schedule for the bus and practice and stuff. And I just look up and say, English. And then all of a sudden they start breaking out in English and tell me what the hell's going on that day. Otherwise, I just show up.
That's awesome. Now, you still tied in with any of that stuff at all? I think, didn't I talk to you not that long ago and you were flying over to Iceland for something recently?
That was a year and a half ago. Yeah, I was over there. Yeah.
That was a year and a half ago?
Yeah, already. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But now, some of the players were just here in Philly. The 4 or 5 of the players flew in. They did a quick one week tour. They flew into Newark. They went up to Boston to see a Bruins game, then Jersey to see the Devils, up to Buffalo, and then ended up in Philly. So me and Dave McIsaac met them at this was 2 weekends ago. Met them at the Wells Fargo Center, watched a Flyers game, and showed them a good time.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. That is
but
an experience,
we had a box. The Hound came in, Kelly.
Yeah.
So it was a nice time.
Did you work on on Jones? He's right around that time, Keith Jones. Was he playing?
Yeah. Keith
and Danny Briere?
Danny was there. Yeah, Danny was with me. Yeah. Yeah, I know Danny very well.
That's really cool.
Jonesy was not playing then. No, he was.
Okay.
He wasn't playing that, but I know Keith too.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to him.
You run into Keith in the Hampton Walmart. I mean, he's coming.
Really?
Yeah, well, he lives up in Chemung.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Hampton Walmart, man.
I know. I ran
not for much longer. That place sucks. Yeah. Have you been there?
Yeah.
It's like the Wild West over there. It's insane.
I guess we're not going to get any sponsorships from the Hampton Walmart.
No, I don't want them. I won't even take them.
Yeah, well, there goes that $1 billion deal.
Yeah, that's all right. Whatever. Well, they'll forgive me.
But yeah, the experiences overseas were just tremendous. I mean, it was just a great time. You always had one afternoon. They call it a day off. You still practice that morning, so you get like half a day off to see the countryside and do some stuff. One time we were in Romania, and I got to see Dracula's castle. I mean, that's stupid stuff like that. It's kind of cool. So
that's
you
really
actually
cool.
seen it. Yeah.
What is Dracula's castle?
So there was an actual person, Dracula.
Who was he?
He was a Count Dracula.
He sucked people's blood?
No, that's all fictitious.
Yeah.
But there were rumors that he would hang heads on sticks to keep the people from coming up and be attacking his castle.
Was that his name, Dracula?
Yeah.
It was his last name?
Yeah.
What's a count?
A count or a countess. I guess it's
like a position of parliament or something.
I think so.
He
was very short. He was very small.
No kidding. He had pictures and stuff? And they preserved the whole castle?
Oh, yeah, the castle's there. His outfits are there, his clothing.
Is it just like you would imagine?
But like I said, I didn't realize he was so short. Some of the doorways you have to duck to get in.
No kidding.
And I'm only 5'5".
Custom-built castle.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
But it is. If you go up on this hill, it sits up there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's a count?
It's a title of nobility.
Huh. You're like a count.
Yeah,
You're an Icelandic count.
Yeah, Icelandic count.
Count Manny.
But yeah. So we got to do and see some cool stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had some favorite spots. The Netherlands was beautiful. Romania, which the first time I went to Romania, it took us from the time I left my house to the time my butt was in a bed in Romania was over 25 hours because you had to change flights. And then I had to wait for the team to catch me in the airport another 2 hours. And then I thought we were done. Once we got to Romania, it was a 4.5 hour bus ride. So we were up in, we were right outside Ukraine. They told me from the top, from my floor, looking out in that direction, you could see Ukraine. So
wow.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That's really cool.
But the people were so nuts. They were the nicest people I met. Was the Romanian people, really nice people.
So last hockey related question. So when you work for the Flyers, you're like are you an in-house chiropractor or are you carrying your own insurance and
yeah, you're carrying everything yourself. So in other words, you have to as a doctor. So in other words, you're always carrying your own malpractice insurance and stuff like that.
And is yours like is it chiropractor or is it like what is it like compared to like a medical doctor?
As far as what?
The malpractice, is it?
Oh, it's not nearly as high. Malpractice is based on how often your profession gets sued. And even though you might say, oh, I heard a chiropractor gave this guy a seizure, or threw that guy, broke his neck or something. It's so, with the amount of adjustments that are done even on a daily basis, the risk is so low.
And they're going there with problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, right?
And
so it's hard to pin it on the doctor.
You'd have to, really be negligent to actually, because malpractice is gross negligence. I mean, a guy left a scalpel in somebody's body. I mean, that's gross negligence.
Yeah.
So to sue, we're not sued very often. So our malpractice comparatively is not nearly as high as a medical.
Yeah, because I had Jim Williamson on, the foot doctor.
Okay.
And he was saying how difficult, how much of a grind it is, even as a doctor, to just to own your own practice and to because you're just paying out so much money in insurance.
So you got insurance. So if you're running a lot, and if you're running a whole insurance department inside your practice, you figure you need at least one full-time girl, if not two, and that's just handling getting paid.
Yeah.
So you're talking what 40, 50, 60,000 you have to make just to pay to get paid. I mean, it's like it's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, like you primarily are just doing chiropractic, adjustments, just cash kind of.
I mean, I am a Medicare provider, so I take Medicare, and I do provide with a couple of the bigger insurance companies, but I got away from a lot of the smaller insurance policies because they just don't pay. You'll spend hours on the phone and paper and. They'll just lose your bill and then you got to resubmit and it's not worth it.
And you know what I find with a lot of these chiropractors that they take the insurance and they know, like for example, like a laborer, like the union laborer,
okay.
they take our insurance. We get, I think it's 12 adjustments
a year.
And they run you dry every time. No, you need to come here 3 times a week.
I don't care if your pinky needs to be adjusted or your neck needs to be adjusted. You're using those.
And they run you through the ringer. They go, oh no, you got to do the stim. No, you got to stay for this. You got to do that. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know.
Just crack my
and that's I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not going to knock the way some people practice. It's just not my choice.
Yeah,
I've been around long enough, and my overhead is low enough to where I could just offer a service, and you might be better in 1 or 2 adjustments. I'll tell some people, look, if you're not really feeling good in 3 adjustments, maybe we got to think about where else to get you, because you should be feeling pretty good with the way I adjust inside 3 adjustments.
I'll tell you what, every time my back hurts, I put it off as long as I can.
Everybody does.
And it never feels better. And then I go see you, and within 3 days, it is like nothing ever happened. Yeah. Every time.
But that's also because you're young. The later in life you do that. I try to get my older clients used to, look, every 6-8 weeks, start coming in. Just to stay tuned up. So you might see me 6 times a year, 7 times a year. Just to get that maintenance adjustment, you'll feel better, and you'll
is there any downside to doing something like that if it's not needed? Like for someone who's maybe like my age, like 30 to 40, that's like overall kind of healthy.
Okay, 30 to 40, kind of. Okay. But now you have to look at it. Okay, so you might say, well, I don't do anything physical enough to throw my back out. The normal daily stresses, for stress alone, driving in a car, sitting at a desk, and then let alone if you're a laborer or anything like that, you're going to you should be getting checked. I mean, you're going to throw your back out. You're going to throw your neck out. The stress of the kids yelling in the other room, Christmas coming up, can't pay your bills. I mean, there's all kinds of stresses that will cause our necks to tension up. Tighten up and cause tension.
Can you provide any explanation for why stress causes back pain?
All you're doing is tightening up your muscles. So
you don't even realize it.
You don't realize it. I mean, if I'm just a little stressed and I'm raising my shoulders a little bit, contracting my upper traps, and I'm holding that for a period of hours a day. When you try to relax, all of a sudden people say, well, it didn't bother me all day, and I go sit down on my couch and watching TV, and it's bothering me. Or I woke up first thing in the morning, I went to bed feeling fine, woke up first thing in the morning, and my neck's killing me. What happened? Usually it's something that happened the day before, or something building up over time where you were just, messing things up and didn't realize it, whether it was just little stresses or just little things you were doing in the course of a day.
I can tell immediately if my back's going to get start to act up. I can tell when I do it, and I'm like, and then it might take 2-3 days, but eventually, like it'll hit
you.
Yeah,
it hits you.
It don't go away until I see it.
But being a chiropractic patient that you're a little bit more in tune to knowing. People don't realize what it feels like not to have that pain. So a lot of people wake up and they're like, yeah, my neck's a little stiff. This is a little, that's normal. No, it's not normal. Once you get adjusted and you're like, man, I feel like blood flow.
Yeah.
It's like I would have feel like this all the time. So then you'll be able to better tell when things are actually bothering you.
Now, is your clientele like as far as the trades go? Like laborers, operators, drivers.
I got everything.
It's got to be like I imagine you see a lot of people in the trades. Is it all like pretty similar, like the type of stuff going on with their back or what neck or is it all different?
It's all different. It's all different. And you can't say like, okay, because that guy does this for a living, he gets left-sided sciatica versus a stay-at-home mom taking care of 3 kids who hips a kid all day. So I mean, there's different things that cause different problems. I mean, I've got all age groups. I've got all kinds of occupations, coming through the door.
And you could feel it.
Yeah. So what
you can feel it like with your hands.
What you're doing is you're feeling for muscle tension, because if there's enough muscle tension, there's probably a joint that's not moving. So what we're feeling for is there's certain play, they call it palpation, in every part of the spine. And when you go up the spine, you start hitting something. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, you just hit that table. It's just like, that thing's not moving right. Okay, which where is it out? What's going on with it? And then you do the best you can, throw it back in.
So what's usually so we'll stay on the spine. Say it's upper back, something like that. Like what typically if it's like an upper back thing, where like do you adjust it left to right? Like when people say adjustment, I don't really normally understand what an adjustment means.
So it can be left or right.
Okay.
Depends on what side the spasm's on. Okay. It's mostly left or right. It's not going to be up or down or stuff like that.
And you're pushing the spine into place?
It's what they call subluxation. So it's not fully out. What you're doing is you're actually, just realigning things. You're giving them a thrust to actually, facilitate their ability to move better again. People ask me all the time, and this is as far as I can remember school, is, well, what's the pop I hear? Is that the cracking of the bone? And no, it's not the cracking of the bone. If you for people that crack their knuckles, okay, if you distract your knuckle rather than crack it down, but you'll hear a pop. Well, nothing rubbed against it. I opened it up. What they believe is when a joint is moving, and let's use your spine. When your spine is moving properly, you have liquids and gases moving in and out. You have water moving in and out of that disc. That disc is very liquid. When it's not moving, they believe that pressure builds up inside of it. They believe it to be nitrogen gas. I don't know if they've ever tested that, but that's what I was always told. So when you release that pressure, that's the actual sound that's coming out, is the release of that nitrogen gas back out into the system.
So so you're trying to go for that. Like, don't get me wrong.
Not all the time do you get a crack. And I know everybody out there has been watching YouTube videos, and these guys got these plastic bottles by microphones. Are going, they're squeezing them around, making these crunching sounds. But and are for the most part, our professions against producing those types of videos, because 90% of them just scare the public. But,
no, I noticed that. Like sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, I got it," and I won't hear a crack.
Yeah.
But you
feel it move. Yeah.
Wow. So, do you recommend a chiropractor for anyone, or is it just as needed?
No, mostly as needed. I mean, I'm just saying that some people, the majority of the population is going to need you, 3 to 6 times a year. But yeah, as needed. I mean, I've got some people I see once every 3-4 years. I mean, they're only going to come in when when they know they're done. Nothing else is going to work,
Like me?
and I'm their last. Yeah, like you, and I'm their last resort, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going like more than that. I just
And as soon as everybody gets adjusted, they're like, "Oh, I got to make this part of my routine." Yeah, I'll see you in 3 years.
yeah. Well, I just listen to what you say. You know, if you're like, come back and see me next week, that's what I do.
Oh, and that's just it. I'm totally honest. Look, sometimes you could get away with one adjustment. Sometimes it'll be like, if your patient's educated, then you say, look, give it 2-3, never 2 days in a row. Give it 2-3 days. See how it feels. If it feels like it's better, but there's still something there, let's get you back in. Let's finish it up. Mm-hmm. If it feels like you're fine and you totally forgot you had back pain, I'll see you in 3 years.
Now, do you think getting adjusted can help prevent injury for guys like me? Or?
That's a fine line, and you can't make claims in chiropractic that you're doing anything to either get rid of headaches or get rid of or make somebody healthier and things like that. Will you feel better? Yes. But I'm not going to sit here and say that we can make a claim that by getting an adjustment, I'm going to help prevent your colds and flus for the winter season.
Do you try with insurance to say that?
No, never.
Preventative care?
They'll take my license.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone ever has tried.
I don't know.
Preventative. I mean,
yeah, I get it.
If you look at like my field, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people have back pain.
Yeah.
So, if you are getting adjusted 4 times a year, like, just calling it preventative. I mean, it doesn't matter because we get the 12 free anyway or whatever.
Right.
But, and the other thing that a lot of, that I saw, like when someone gets into an accident, a lot of time a lawyer will send them to a chiropractor just to build the case.
Right.
You know what I mean? Have you run into anything like that?
I do not. I typically do not handle personal injury or auto accidents because I feel like there's pressures put on you to have to see the patient many, many times. Yeah. Maybe when you don't need to. And I'm not saying they do. Yeah. That's their own business. The cases I handle are usually, people I know or active patients I have that are like, no, I don't trust anybody else. Can you really help me out with this? And then I just manage the case based on what they really have. If you're in an auto accident, obviously you might have to be seen a little bit more than the average person. Depending on if you were whiplash or you were given, some lower back, injuries or any type of sciatica starting and things like that. But bigger than that, with me being involved in the cases, I want to make sure, are we following up? Do you need physical therapy? Do you need an orthopedist? And I obviously I know enough people in the field where I can send them to there and get their honest opinion back on what do you really need, like what do you really need, even if it's pain management. I know really good pain management people that are just not going to give you pills, that are really going to manage your case and make sure that they're going to take care of you like I would take care of you.
All right, so let's move on now because you're not only involved with construction guys and et cetera through chiropractor, you're also a DOT medical examiner.
Yeah.
For the CDL.
For guys that
Atlantic Investigations.
Yeah, through Atlantic Investigations. I started with them probably when they opened about 15, 16 years ago now. And then I was with them for about 2 or 3 years. They called me up and they were like, we need a doctor that can do physicals, and because truck drivers need these physicals now because they have to have a medical card to be able to drive a truck. From that, that's 15, 16 years ago, a few years after I started, the federal government stepped in and said, all the doctors have to be certified to be able to do these things. So we all had to take, whoever was doing them, this national test. And it's a time test where, you got the cameras on you and your pockets are empty and one of those things. And you had to go through courses again. I feel like I'm never done learning. And so I passed that test. So it's a 10-year certification. So 2 years ago, I had to re-up it because it's been 10 years since I got it. And I guess when I'm about 69, I'm going to have to take it again one more time. But so you're certified by the federal government and the Department of Transportation to do physicals on guys that had CDLs. Now, about 4 years ago, they upped it and they said, okay, no, not just CDLs, even non-CDLs. Anybody driving over 10,000 1-pound truck. So that took, that pulls in all your box trucks and it's combined weight.
For commercial vehicle. I mean, it's utility bodies too. It's
utility
anything,
bodies, your landscapers that are hauling equipment. So it's combined weight, 10,000 pounds. You have to have a medical card, even if you don't have a CDL. And and we're one of the few companies that supply everything you need. So if you're a big company and you need like background checks or pre-employment checks, they do that. They do truck inspections.
Drug testing.
So downstairs we do the drug testing, drug and alcohol testing. We do it for pre-employment. We do it for randoms. We do it for reasonable suspicions. You
gotta have some stories about guys going in there like, dude.
None that I can tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
None that you can tell you. That's everything. Everything that happens inside those doors is totally private.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've kind of seen it all through that. And it's a shame. Every once in a while, you got to have a discussion with a driver where you say, the eyes are kind of going, the reflexes are kind of going. You got a medical a pill list of 10 things you're taking now. Maybe
it's not safe to drive around 80,000 pounds.
The last thing they told us in the course was you are the last line of defense for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Mm-hmm. And when you really listen to that statement, you got a lot on your plate that where you have to really take somebody's job away from when it's not safe for them to be out on the road. And like I said, I can't point to certain instances, but you get a feeling sometimes. And I pulled licenses before, and a couple instances those drivers weren't around much longer.
Do you have is your threshold pretty high for something like that?
For what do you mean threshold?
Like I feel like a lot of guys that are drivers, they tend to be a little overweight because they're sitting in a truck all day.
Right.
I imagine that diabetes is probably pretty high in drivers.
Right. High blood pressure.
High
sure.
blood. Yeah. I mean, like you could. I mean, there's probably a range where you can if you were super strict with it, you could probably cut a lot of people off.
There's federal parameters. Okay. You have to have a blood pressure of under 140 over 90. So it can't be 142 over 88. If it exceeds one of those numbers, not that you fail, but in other words, I have to then send you out to your medical doctor to find out if we can get your blood pressure down so that you can reinstitute the card and get your and be a driver. Same with diabetes. We do a dip test. Are you pushing sugar into your urine? It's one of the first signs. So I'll send you out. We do an eye exam. Okay, if you can't read 20/40, I have to send you out. Hearing test. You have to be within a certain decibels, or I have to send you out. So 2 or 3 of those factors, it might be like, okay, time to quit. But there are federal guidelines where you have to follow. Now there's.
Is it up to you at all?
Yes.
Okay.
So now there are certain. Like I said, there's nobody I have to answer to. And I've had people call Washington on me, and I've been on the phone with Washington defending what I'm doing, where I'm giving a guy, look, something's not right. I know you're not going to be able to do this or that, especially during COVID where they couldn't get to their doctors. All right, I'll give you 2 months to get back in here. Let's get this fixed. And, whether they couldn't get there or could, and that's a discussion you have with them based on their situation. So, yeah, everybody's situation might be a little different. In the beginning, you were failing a lot of guys when they first came up with these standards because truck drivers are just, smokers and drinkers and unhealthy and whatever. Yeah. And those were the guys that really wanted off the road. And so there was a lot of guys getting failed based on these standards when they first, 15 years ago, when they first instituted it. Nowadays, most guys, they've been through it. They're going through schools. They know what is going to be expected of them. They know how much sleep they're supposed to be getting. They know how many hours they're supposed to be allowed to drive. They know, they got to watch how they eat and drink and they can't go, crazy and come in, drunk on a Monday morning. They can't be drinking at a bar, at a rest stop, at lunch and then go back in their truck. Yeah. And they're going to get caught now.
Blowing crystal meth all day. Yeah. Well, they made the they made the guidelines for driving pretty strict too, to kind of, I think, facilitate that lifestyle, because before it was kind of just like there was no 11 hours on the road, 8 hours rest, guaranteed. You know, it was like just go as far as you can go. So a lot of guys were just like, all right, well, the more I go, the more money I make. Let me just get some crystal meth there.
Yeah. And now, even then, they used to doctor their logbook. Now it's in most companies, the bigger companies,
it's got to be electronic.
It's all electronic.
It has to be even for the smaller companies. I mean, like if you're crossing state borders, if you're not considered local,
right?
You have to have if 80%. I'm pretty sure about that. If it's 80% of your freight is getting moved locally, what they deem locally, which is I think 100-mile radius or less, then you don't have to have the electronic logging devices. But if more than 80% of your freight is going beyond 100 miles of where you're based at, you have to have electronic. You have to.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it makes sense. And I've been in the rooms with the bigger companies and where they have every truck's on camera. They have a whole board of laid out, and they know where everybody is. They know how fast you're going. They know everything. They know when you're stopping at a Wawa, and killing time. Yeah. They know everything. A lot of them have cameras inside the trucks now.
I had the other day. I had 3 hard-boiled eggs, so I was stopping to pick up a VMS board.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped and I had to crack the hard-boiled eggs and peel them and eat them, and 3 times obviously. And I got a call as soon as I left there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you sleeping?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was fucking hard-boiled eggs, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. But and you'll find the difference is just in the different types of companies. I mean, you get a guy who is hauling, soda or water or beer and alcohol. These guys they're in and out of these trucks. They're hauling kegs. They're hauling cases. They're pretty fit. Then you get the poor guy in the dump truck that he pretty much isn't allowed to get out of there until he's done. So I don't know how they even hold their bladder, but they just move. It's real. It's a real unhealthy situation for them.
It is brutal. So you saw an uptick with the expanded guidelines for the medical cards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the laborers union, for example, recently offered to, number one, fund anyone who wanted to get a CDL. They would pay for the schooling. They would pay for the whole thing. They reimbursed the whole thing, and they also reimbursed the medical cards.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen an uptick specifically, like where you're at since that has come into play, where they're like, look, go get the CDLs, and we'll pay for it? Like, does stuff like that impact you in a positive way too?
Sure, it impacts me because more people are coming to the profession. What happened was, and I don't know if this is because of COVID or not, but when COVID hit, you had a lot of your older population just drop out. They said, that's it. I'm not going back to work. I don't feel safe. I am 65. I am 70. I am 75. Some of these bus drivers, and they're like, something. I don't want to be around the kids, and they just stopped working. Yeah. So there was a big gap and need for CDL drivers across the board. And right about then, because I think it's been about 2 years now, you can't how they used to get their CDLs. In other words, they just train with a company or train with somebody. Now you actually have to go to a school. So we did.
That's unbelievable.
I know. We did open up a school. I don't know a lot about it. I know what we charge, and I know the basis. It's classroom hours, and then you get road and you pass your written test, and you get road and range. So I know there's a couple of different things about that, but I know they're pretty busy with it. My company probably does a better job than most with because I hear their pass rate's really good. We also, Greg Crescenzo invested in over $100,000 simulator. You can sit in this, so you don't take you out on the road and you don't know what you're doing. You sit in this thing and you can program in what kind of truck it is. And it moves, and you got these big screens in front of you, and they'll throw all kinds of scenarios at you, like rain, a deer running out in front of you, a cop driving by. I mean, I've seen it work a little bit, and it's like,
wow,
and they can make it manual, or they can make it stick. based on what kind of license.
Yeah, well,
you're
they
going
have
for.
restrictions now.
Oh yeah.
You know,
So,
you might as well just take it with sticks so you can drive anything.
so you drive anything,
Yeah.
but most guys opt not to do that.
That's silly. It is different though, man. Driving all that weight behind you.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
sure.
it feels. I mean, especially when you're loaded, it is. I mean, you could feel.
Yeah.
I wonder how that simulator. I would love to. Love to
Yeah,
try that and see what it feels like. See how similar it feels.
Yeah. I don't know how it will give you the push with like
Maybe just the gas pedals a little bit, like
maybe,
you know.
but like a tanker and stuff like that. You've got to be feeling that.
I drove a tanker up the Parkway, and it was when they were doing construction on the Parkway, and I hit a lip and moved, and I didn't want it to do what it did. And dude, I couldn't get this. I couldn't bring myself to bring this thing over 35 miles an hour the whole rest of the way.
Your light flashed in front of you.
I was like, fuck this thing. Yeah. It gets scary. It really does, because you are pulling some weight, man.
Yeah.
Especially them freight. Those guys with the low boys, man, they're like 160,000 pounds.
Wow.
It's out of control.
That's nuts. It is a crazy job. And obviously I know these guys, and it's scary.
Yeah. Do you think the automated vehicles will affect maybe not you, but like medical examiners in the future?
Well, I mean, if they go totally, with trucks, if they go totally, where they're
No one in
automated,
them. Yeah.
nobody in them. Obviously, I would have no need to do a physical on anybody. I keep saying 10 years because I got about 10 years left. No, I'm not dying in 10 years, but I'll probably stop practicing in 10 years. And so I probably won't see too much of a switch to that. There will always be, no matter how much things automate, there will always be, the guy who has to jump in his truck and go mow a lawn. There's always going to be local trucking services. Yes, can even if you automate and you're taking away the cross-country hauler, which I think most of this is going to be geared toward, is that long distance drive.
Yeah, we won't have
where a guy
that
doesn't
11
have to
and
take-
8
The guy
anymore,
doesn't have
right.
to take a break,
Right.
and you can get a load from here to California quicker. Those are the services, and the guys you're going to take is the over the road haulers, and so it's a long way coming yet. It's a long way.
You
coming
think so?
Yet. Yeah. Look. I've seen a lot of changes, and I don't want to sound like my father, where like, bread was 5 cents, Jesus, right? Yeah, it's $5. I never wanted to sound like that guy, but realistically, I mean, I came from black and white TVs with 2 to 3 channels, okay, and you start talking about that shit compared to where we are now, you don't know, because I talked about it years ago, where I said. Sooner or later, we're going to just be walking through our house and say, call mom. And all of a sudden, your mom is going to be talking to you as you're walking throughout your house. It's kind of already happening like that.
It is.
Okay. And we have to maybe wear an earpiece right now, but all that's going to be gone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neuralink. Put you.
Yeah.
Could have telekinesis.
Yeah.
What's it? Is it telekinesis? When you talk
Yeah.
to people through your brain?
Yeah. So
it'd be like that.
But yeah, that I mean, the shit's here and it's real, and and the changes that are going to take place are going to be phenomenal, and just kind of got to roll with it.
Yeah.
You either grow with technology or you die.
Yeah. Well, I just don't. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to imagine what they're going to do with all the people. Like once they start.
There'll be different professions.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always going to be a need for a workforce. I mean, as much as you might automate things, obviously, I think what you really want to watch it. I mean, look at Amazon. When you start cutting down on the workforce in Amazon because they have machines pulling packages and delivering packages, because they're going to be the ones that have the money to invest in that type of system. So then you'll start seeing, and those people will just get different jobs. I mean, we'll have jobs. Somebody's got to create things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fair enough. So what else, man? What do you do for fun?
For fun?
Yeah. Yeah, you seem busy. Too busy for fun?
I go to the bar.
Yeah.
I go to Trio.
What do you drink?
Miller Lite.
Man, we got Miller Lights. What the hell? Could have got you. You could have been. I could have been doing pretty good by now.
Yeah, right.
Could have got some stories.
Like Crown Apple and Miller Lite.
All right.
Crown Apple Straight. But no, I just Relaxing. I got a good family. I got 2 boys and 1 girl. My oldest is an attorney. He's getting married in a year and a half. My second son is a bartender down at Golden Nugget Casino, doing very well. And my baby's 15-year-old, be 16 in 2 weeks over at St. Joe Academy.
Cool.
I've been married for 29 years, coming up on 30.
Good for you.
Yeah, I got. And you know something? Let's put a little shout out to the wives out there.
Yeah.
Okay, because let me tell you something. I was married once before for 9 months. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, so it tells you when you have a bad one.
Yeah.
Okay, and my present wife always busts my stones like, oh yeah, you were married before. I said, listen, I would not have found you if it didn't go through that first. You know, we might bitch about what happens in our past, but it's all building blocks to our future. And because of my wife, Donna, if it wasn't for her, I would have never had these life experiences. Because you got to think about, like, what wife will say, oh yeah, just go to Croatia for, 10 days. We'll go to Romania. Because on a wife, it sounds like you're just hanging out with the guys.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I come back, I'm exhausted. My hands actually physically hurt from doing so much work on these guys. But, so it's with her blessing and with her understanding and allowing me to have life experiences that I would have never had. I mean, I've had a full life. I mean, I've met Stallone, I've met Schwarzenegger, I've met some people, and you meet different, athletes and stuff like that. I mean, I've had a great life. I was talking to, it was 2 New Years ago, somebody, that's my age. And she goes to me, so Manuel, she goes, what's left on your bucket list? I said, nothing. She goes, you don't have anything left on your bucket list? I want to do this, do that. I said, I've had a very, very, very full life. And then I stopped myself. I said, there's one more thing I got to do. She goes, what's that? I said, walk my little girl down the aisle. I said, besides that, I said, I've had a very full life. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate to see and meet people that, It's been a great ride. It's been a great ride. I'm not done, but I'm weaning back. I'm not pushing anymore. I'm not going out there and trying to conquer the world.
Good for you, man.
But yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice. So you're just starting.
Yeah.
The babies.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been dipping my hands in quite a bit, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stretching myself thin. Well, I mean, you've been.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
You're just trying to figure it out.
Right. Hey, I invested in a gym that lost money for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, please, my wife won't let me forget that either.
Yeah. Well, Manny, thank you, dude. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
We're done. I got 3 more hours in me. No.
Well, how long was that?
A little over an hour.
It was over an hour.
Oh, was it? That was quick.
You want to keep going?
No.
All right. Manny, thank you very much, man.
Steve, it was
I really
a pleasure.
appreciate that. It was
a
awesome
pleasure.
talking to you, man.
Oh,
yeah, it was really cool.
I got the gift of gab when you get me going.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think we covered everything.
Yeah. Well, if not, you come back again and anytime, dude. Anytime.
Next time I'll take you up on that Miller Lite.
Oh yeah, let's do that next time.
That 10,000 though, I need them in small.
You got
balls.
it. It's already done.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Already done.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Thank you.